Welcome to the 16th common session of Sunoikis Digital Classics 2016. Today our guest is Professor Anise Ferreira from the campus of Araraquara, from the São Paulo State University in Brazil. And today we have the second common session of two connected common sessions, because last week we had the first one with Professor Neven Jovanovic from Croatia about aligned translations and treebanking. Last week we discussed only about aligned translations, while today we have a common session about translation alignment and something also about treebanking. And of course the project is different because Professor Ferreira is going to talk about her project for the Greek-Portuguese dictionary, which is a very important project, and I know that Anise has been working a lot on this project. And I'm also very happy to say that Professor Ferreira has been working since the beginning with Sunoikis Digital Classics, since last year, and some of you remember that we started Sunoikis in Brazil, because last year I was invited there, and so we started. The second common session was from the campus of Araraquara with Professor Ferreira and her colleagues and also her students. So Anise, welcome again to Sunoikis Digital Classics. Thank you for this common session. So now I think you can start presenting. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, now you are presenting to everyone and you can share your screen.
Hello, Monica. Hello, everybody. Thanks for your words. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So I'm now trying to share my screen without any problem, I hope. And now?
Yes, I can see your screen, Anise, yes. And now?
And presentation. Can you see still?
Yes, I can see the slides. It works.
Okay. So, as Monica said, I work for São Paulo State University, UNESCO, in the city of Araraquara. Let me stop this. It's on automatic presentation. No, automatic, please. Araraquara is a city 300 kilometers from the city of São Paulo. I teach Greek language and literature in the Department of Linguistics. And in the post-graduation course in linguistics and Portuguese language, I work basically with technology in language learning and researching. So I feel privileged because I'm talking after previous sessions where we had examples, very good examples of alignment procedure and treebanking using Perseids platform. Also, I have to say I speak from a place that puts me more at the level of a student of digital classics than a teacher. In this session, I will focus on sharing 3 of our goals and tasks here at UNESCO. Our university is speaking particularly of my Greek classes and Sunoikis class. First, since we have had recent improvements in the tagger for our Greek-Portuguese dictionary, if I may, I will take the liberty to discuss the adequacy of the selection of TEI XML tags for our dictionary structure, and maybe I can get some feedback from you. Then I will discuss alignment treebank, along with challenges we have had in our classes concerning Greek texts and translations using Perseids tools, Alpheus and Aretusa. And why did we choose those goals? First, we don't have open translations of Greek and Latin printed or digitized. We started the alignment work in 2012, as Monica said, but we only have one open work entirely translated the Apollodorus library done by Caio, my advisee, who defended his dissertation last month. And we have fragments of different works aligned that are part of the curriculum done in classroom. Until January 2015, we had a little more than 48,000 tokens aligned. Second, we believe there is the pedagogical impact of doing aligned translation and Treebanking annotations. Since we don't have many open translations, we need more translators. Nevin last week presented clear points, very clear points that alignment raises and presented thoughts it provokes in us about decisions about to align, what to align or not, and different types of translations and its effect on alignment, and the awareness of different translators' choices when comparing translations of the same text. And maybe we have some advantage in our scarcity of open publications. We can adjust the new translations to the alignment task. On the other hand, we may lose artistic embellishments and metaphors in translations. About Treebank annotations, they seem to favor awareness of Greek morphosyntax and Portuguese syntax. We believe both alignments and Treebanking together can help language awareness in learning Greek. But we had difficulty simulating the translators because of the lack of a Greek-Portuguese dictionary, until a printed one, until the last volume was published, and now we need a digital version. This table shows a list of works and the quantity of aligned tokens so far. These alignments in the table were not transferred to Perseids yet. In 2015, all the student work was done on Perseids, but there weren't totaled yet. Our experience shows we can't finish an entire work, unfortunately, of aligned translation during a 30-hour semester with the students. The translation speed depends on the extra time of the students have. 50% have day jobs, and 1 in 5 is doing his or her second degree. We have also older committed students who come from other areas. The 2016 classes began only in March at Unesp, and now I'm teaching 6 undergraduate classes with half a dozen students or less each. And 2 of the students are applicants for scholarship with a specific project. 2 new students, that's the good news. One will translate Xenophon's Symposium and the other Argonautica. SunoikisisDC this year has 1 grad student officially enrolled for credit with major in Greek, who has his own project on Euripides' Heracles, and for attending as special. This, you can see, we had difficulty in simulating the translators due to the lack of a Greek-Portuguese dictionary. The last volume was published in 2010, and now we need a digital version. We need a portable digital Greek-Portuguese dictionary. And because of recent stage of the Tagger, I included this subject in this session. Just to give you an idea of the timeline of this dictionary, we finished the last volume in 2010. Altogether, the 5 volumes have around 1,300 pages. And the printed dictionary had contributors from different Brazilian universities. And the 3 main coordinators of it were my colleagues in Araraquara, Celeste Desotti, Daisy Malhadas, and Maria Helena Moura Neves. And as you can see in the slides, the publisher gave authorization, the digital version, in December of 2012. Then the publisher began to write a new contract in 2013. We had funding for scanning the text, the printed text. We wait for signature, 1 year of waiting for signatures. We started correction without no fundings, but finally the publisher gave the files, and we could test Rubens' first version of the tagger. And now we need to see if we have a first digital version to go online. So I received the text from the publisher in InDesign format, separated by the volumes. Then I copied and pasted in text files, separated alphabetically. Following advice from Helma, Dick, and you, Monica, we selected the minimum tag set for an entry, so we could obtain as soon as possible a digital version. Bridget and Monica recommended adopting the norms provided by TEI XML guidelines. Studying the guidelines, I chose entry-free tag because it can contain a structured entry in any kind of lexical resource. I gave the files to Rubens Rodrigues, explained the entries and Greek letters, and he wrote the first script. We had at least 3 versions of this. According to TEI guidelines, if an entry has many senses, the definition tag has to be inside each sense tag. But to insert numbered sense tags in this phase would delay the process. It was the first time Rubens wrote a routine for this purpose. It was what was for him working with a new language. He works as an IT assistant at my university in the IT sector, where he has other responsibilities. So he volunteered to work on this project during his off time. So I'm glad he's young, smart, enthusiastic, and likes programming. Let me show the interface, tagger interface. The tagger was built to work on the web with a field to insert the initial letter of the word of each file. So I could insert alpha or eta. The files were separated alphabetically, so it became easy to do this. We upload each file, press the button run, and it just does the job. The last version didn't need correction so far as I could see. And it was done with Debian 7, web server Apache, PHP, HTML5. So this is Rubens' algorithm flowchart. I have to confess that I'm not very experienced on this kind of flowchart, but it was thought in a way new search inputs and processing can be included. That is the flowchart for the last version. The one is working now. Well, Tagger, as next step, now I put here with what I think is are the easiest, and then to the hardest. I feel that etym tag is the easiest because it's distinctively marked with a greater or less signs in the entry and can be contained by entry-free tag, and has an Unicode mark. So,
Anise, so if you don't mind, I have a question. So
yes.
I would like to summarize what you have said so far. So the first thing, okay, so you OCR'd the dictionary. This is important because this is a good model for many other digitization. So first of all, OCRing the dictionary. Then after that, okay, so you chose simple tags first. Then the computer scientist wrote the script, so to put automatically the tags, if I understand. So
yes,
okay, yes,
but
exactly.
I didn't use the texts that were the texts that passed through OCR, because the publisher at the end gave us the digital files after the contract, and we could deal with a perfect digitized text. So
which is good, I think, but it's the model for working with this kind of text. But also, I have done this, for example, with indexes. So this is the model: OCRing, then putting the first tags, and then in the tagger, if I understand, you can upload files, and each file is by letter, so it includes words arranged alphabetically, of course. Yeah.
Only the first, the initial letter. If I will tag the alpha file, I put alpha in the entry.
Okay.
If I'm working with Omicron, I insert Omicron in the.
Yes, that's the thing. So you upload the file corresponding to the letter you are interested in. Is it correct?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And you can search. No, it makes sense. Yes, so it was only to summarize for people who are listening to us. And then in this slide that I see, okay, the next steps for working, yes, from the easiest to the hardest, I think. So thank you, Anise, and sorry for interrupting.
No problem. Then after etym, I believe it won't be too hard to include author's abbreviation in the examples, because they are fixed. They are a fixed 3 and 4 word list, like this: home for Homer and Plato for Plato. Then I believe we have to separate the definitions into numbered senses. Tags in TI-XML can contain some tags and can be contained by others. I can't, it's not allowed to insert senses into definition tag. I have to insert definition tags into numbered senses. So but I believe the hardest task is to tag the examples. Why are the examples, cited quotations, difficult to tag in our dictionary? Because they are separated from the senses and definitions in two different blocks. And we have lots of this kind of entry. And according to TI guidelines, the examples would come with each sense and definition. So it is contained by def and sense text. So TI guidelines says that each example should come after the definition, not like this. So this, I think, is a little tricky to solve. And what would be a solution? Here, the list, we have def and we have the list tag. The list tag contains item tags that can be contained by def. And these senses would be separated without using the tag sense. This is a way to make a list and separated the items without using the tag sense for now. Right now, that is what we could do without inserting sense tags. As to the examples, the sentences with Portuguese translations, and here we have the abbreviation of the author. Items can be contained by list, which can be contained by quote, or should be contained by quote, which is contained by cite or cited quotation. Cited quotation contains a quotation, by definition, contains a quotation from some or other document together with a bibliographic reference to its source. In a dictionary, it may contain an example text with at least one occurrence of the word form used in the sense being described, or a translation of the head word or an example. So I can't skip from quote tag because cited quotation apparently can't contain list. I can't skip. There is a hierarchical order. But I don't know if it's a right solution, you know? It's an idea. So, using TIP XHTML scenario in the Oxygen software, I got this form. So I hope to get suggestions from our partners in Sunoikis about next steps, and if including a TI header, because the files don't have a TI header yet. If including TI header on files we get with this current version, we can put it online some way. And about other steps, which will be the next. Maybe to link examples to sources, annotating the citation URI manually, I don't know, POS of headwords as an adverbial entry which one would be priority? So the main question is if the current tags added with TI header would be enough to put the dictionary online. So that's the presentation, the stage of the dictionary we had.
Anise, if I can say something about your questions. Yeah. Well, first of all, well, I think yes, you can, if it's possible for you to begin to publish the data. Yes, why not? Because this is important to involve the community, definitely. So not only Sunoikisis, of course, but in general also the TI community. And I think so. The current tags are enough. Well, I think so. Also because well, a dictionary means a lot of work, so you may need help. You have students, you have people at your university, but you may need help for correcting. Oh, I don't know if there are still OCR mistakes. I feel that there is still the problem with the final sigma, because you have the stigma, not the sigma, which is used.
Okay.
I know it's always like that. We always find this problem in OCR text, that you have to change the stigma with the final sigma, and maybe other things. As for, well, abbreviations, that's the thing. In dictionaries, of course, you have references to ancient authors abbreviated, and that's a tricky thing. And then that's the final goal, of course, is to connect each entry with sources, for example, sources in Perseus. That's the thing. So we should be able to extract those information, those references to the sources, Homer, Plato, and so on, maybe expand the abbreviations, and then finding, yes, the URIs for each passage. So I think that this is a kind of work that can be done both automatically and manually. That's the thing. So the difficult thing is to combine manual and automatic work. And so this is what I can say. But for the last question, so are the current tags enough? Well, why not? Yes, it's a resource. So. And
okay.
This is my whole modest opinion, of course, but why not?
No, because I mean technically, if it would work with few tags, that's inside an interface. So that's my problem, but yeah, I understand. We have some cleaning job to do.
This is normal. And, so this is normal.
And we will finish doing this and send someone the digital and ask for instructions on the interface to retrieve, to get information retrieval from the files, right? So now I'd like to talk about alignments and tree banking with Portuguese. Different approaches we've adopted with some examples. We have conventions defined in order to build guidelines. And I talk about the main difficulties we found. So, we've adopted different approaches since we've started using the alignment editor and Treebanking editor. First, we had the optimistic idea of having a personal translation in Portuguese of an entire piece, which became an unrealistic goal. Then we aligned two different given translations to compare, and then adopting the Treebank task to finish with a personal translation. However, about the comparison, that comparison was useful to recognize the solutions the translators used, and showed that the discrepant solutions showed more grammatical problems in Greek related to Portuguese grammar, to understand and translate it. But anyway, we need original translations to increase the quantity of open data. And what we are doing now with 2 years of undergraduate classes is to give Portuguese translation done the year before by a colleague, so the text is not entirely new to them. We know by experience that until the second year, those who have never studied Greek before suffer with the alphabet and pattern recognition of grammatical categories. As to Cinoikis class, where we have 3 students without experience with Greek, pursuing individual projects, 2 of them aligned Portuguese to English translations. 1 aligned Greek and Portuguese without having familiarity with Greek. 1 experienced students aligned Greek and Portuguese and did Treebanking annotations. About the editions, we have the editions were the Greek one available in Perseus Digital Library. We have 2 English translations and 2 Portuguese translations chosen by the students. 1 English translation is from Perseus. The other one is from King James Bible, Gutenberg project. In Portuguese, one of the translations is the Jerusalem's Bible from Paulinas, Edições Paulinas, and the other is another Portuguese translation is from Ellen G. White writings. So here I put only the capture of interlinear alignments because I think it's easier to see the differences. As to English and Portuguese translations of the epistle, we see that the verbs are inflected in Portuguese. And depending on the tense, sometimes the first person can be equal to the third. As we can see here, if I speak in the tongues, in English we don't have the need to, wouldn't have the need to put the personal pronoun. But anyway, in Portuguese, the translation, ainda que fale, this verb fale would need the personal pronoun because it's the same for the first and third person. So it would be necessary, unless it was made clear in the text, the presence of the first person before, because this is the subjunctive either in Portuguese and in Greek. And the same, here is the present and here is the past subjunctive. So here, though, ainda que, is aligned towards with though, I, eu, falasse. So here the student aligned entirely the pronoun with this translation. So in Greek, ean tais glossais ton anthropon lalo. This is the different inflections. Also, we have differences in the uses of prepositions and articles. In the first alignment, the word of, which means the preposition de in Portuguese, is aligned with dos in Portuguese, which is a contraction of, and the article in masculine and plural. So we have the preposition with the article. So it's everything is aligned here. And in the second example, the student was not sure about aligning the English preposition to the preposition and the article in Portuguese. So it's blank here. There is no correspondence in English in that alignment. We also notice different lexical choices. As an example here, we can see charity, caridade in Portuguese, and charity in English, and love and amor in Portuguese for the word, the Greek word agape here in the accusative case. And also we can see either in Portuguese and English, I give my body to be burned, para ser queimado. And I will explain that in the next slide. So as to the alignment of Greek to Portuguese, we found something unexpected. An apparent confusion between the verb, the word qualquer somai and qualquer somai. So here we have the example in Portuguese, the correspondent in English to, so you can see here in Portuguese, to deliver my body to the flames. And I give my body to be burned. So we in Greek, qualquer somai is the verb qualquer omai, which means to boast, and qualquer somai is the verb caio, to burn. And we had a translation in English using the verb boast. And we believe, so the translations with burn, with to burn, came from Latin translation. And in one of the Portuguese translations, there is a curious footnote advising for another usual translation of qualquer somai as to boast. That's interesting. They need to have a footnote in the text. And then another example of aligning multiple words. So can, we have ainda que in Portuguese, which means though in English. And we have kai, which means and the modal particle an, a contraction of two words. So both were aligned with the expression in Portuguese. Also here the verb caire, which means rejoice in English, but alegra-se in Portuguese, we can see the inclusion of a reflexive pronoun, se. So both the pronoun and the verb were aligned with the verb. In Portuguese, we can put the pronouns at the end of the verb with an hyphen, or we can use it before the verb. So we recommend in Portuguese to use the prepositions, to put the pronoun before, to avoid the hyphen. And here, εκ μέρους προφετεούμεν, we have some transformations in translations. Εκ μέρους was translated to is limited, é limitada, is limited in English, and it was aligned. The preposition together with the noun were aligned to the verb and noun. And here, propheteuomen, we have the change of a verb, we prophesy, and the translation. In the translation, we have our prophecy, a noun. So we have an updated list of alignment conventions, but here I'm going to show just the main conventions. Here, I touched the key. The keyboard. So we have some examples with the Greek words. Eisten, we align with in Portuguese with the translation with the preposition and article, because both are contracted in Portuguese. Heraklei. We have inflected word in Greek, and in Portuguese we have to use a preposition. So we align the preposition with the noun. Another example, Ho Perikleos, the son of Pericles, we follow, we have to align the word son. We decided to do that with the noun. And hoinun, the contemporary persons follows the translation. Depends on the translation, we align differently. The expression which he used with verb femi, rodeuk efe, follows the translation, and he said no, ou em português eles disse que não. So we have to decide how to align the expression. And the verbs tincano and lanthano, when they appear with participle and are translated as adverbial phrase, we have to pay attention in the translation if we align the adverbial phrase together. Also, when we have the modal particle, we decided to align with the verb so we can associate the mood used with the particle. For the conjunctions, together with particle, modal particle, if we have a phrase, we aligned together, the phrase together, and if we use the conjunction que in Portuguese, that we have to align to put all together. As to adverbial participles, we can have in Portuguese conjunctions with finite verbs. So we put together the conjunction with the verb in the alignment. Also, if we have adjective participles using relative pronouns in translation, we put together, we align together the pronoun with the verb. And if there is no article in Greek, but in Portuguese, the translation uses indefinite article, so we align the indefinite article to the word. And why we thought in doing that? Because the guideline, we can say, is to think what I would expect when retrieving information from some database. What would we expect from receiving? Which kind of information? It's what would be more useful for us in retrieving the information. How can I get the better information about a word I'm looking for? So now that is what I have about alignments. And I would like to report some Treebanking difficulties.
Anise, sorry, given that you have these different topics, sorry for interrupting, but I think
no,
that
you're welcome.
for the discussion, and you are talking about difficult but very interesting things. So for the alignment, so we have these conventions. As we discussed last week with Neven, and we discussed also in previous common sessions, we need, as we said, guidelines. So thank you very much for these conventions, at least for Greek Portuguese. We know that in different languages, of course, we have different needs, but these conventions, sometimes we can share these conventions, so these are important. We need data, as we know, we need to align to find these conventions, but we need these conventions. So I hope we can, so we will have your slides in GitHub, but in general we want to collect all this information, these conventions, because we need, well, if not definitive guidelines, at least some convention to discuss about. So thank you very much for this, and for this slide, which is very, very useful, I think. And then I have another question. So when you mention, so at the beginning of this section, exactly, this sum of alignment conventions, I think this is very important. So we can, for example, well, these conventions are useful also not only for Portuguese, also for other languages. For example, for Italian, we have similar needs. And so this is what we need. Then, of course, we can disagree or agree, but I think that on this we can agree, and we need these conventions.
Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult to make a decision about it, and at least we can be consistent. I don't know. And if someone argue on the contrary of using another convention, we can, of course, change it. And each different texts brought different needs of alignment too.
Yeah, yes, that depends on the kind of translation you have, of course, and then decisions. But if we begin to have a list of conventions, this is something, then of course we can always express the disagreement. We can choose different solutions. I agree with these conventions, but anyway, this is exactly what we need. So thank you very much for this. And then I have another question, because at the beginning, so you mentioned the work with your students. If I remember, so you mentioned the alignment between Greek and between Portuguese and English. And if I remember correctly, as for the alignment Greek-Portuguese, you said that the students had no familiarity with Greek. Is it correct?
One of them.
Okay, and how did it work? Because this is very interesting. This is important.
Yes. I intended to show a slide about her work, but I don't have the slide.
No problem.
But, what I noticed in her work that she managed to deal very well with the Greek. She had the instruments. She could, of course, look up the dictionary, the versus dictionary in English or in Portuguese. But what the difficulties she had were those where the translator changed the grammatical category of the word.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I remember, the verb to know was translated as a noun, and it was not very adapted to the text. So she decided not to align. But I can say that she aligned correctly about 67, around 60% of the text she aligned, because she left words without alignment too. But it was an experience, because she had work, she research where she compared different translations, Portuguese translations of that epistle. And she analyzed in terms of Portuguese language, of course, because she didn't know Greek. And now she started to see the Greek language, and she can compare Portuguese, and she has access to the Latin translation too, and I believe her analysis can be enriched with all this the knowledge of words, even if she's not very experienced, not at all experienced in Greek. She will start learning Greek, and she can start learning with this project. Exactly to accomplish this project.
This is very, very interesting, because one of the goals of translation and alignment, and also Alfios definitely, is to use this tool for teaching purposes. And so I think that this is an excellent example. So a student who doesn't know Greek, but who can learn Greek by trying to align. And I can understand the difficulties, of course. And again, we need sort of guidelines to help students, because I definitely understand the difficulties. But so thank you for this, because this is really very interesting. I don't know if you can then, after the common session, put the slide, but in general, anyway, also the discussion. So. And thank you.
I will include the
thank you, because it's really one of the goals of Alfios, and now of Persids, given that we have the alignment tool in Persids. So thank you.
I say to my students, I used to say that reading Greek is like it's like to do many researches at the same time.
Yes.
and it's hypothesis testing. You test hypotheses, and you can exclude them according to the information you can retrieve. So, of course, for those who doesn't know Greek, they will take more time doing this this process of eliminating hypotheses, because they have to look up more to see use more instruments to solve the problem. This is a solve problem exercise, in fact.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will include this slide.
Thank you. Thank you, because it's really very, very interesting. Thank you very much.
So now I will talk about Treebanking. And no. Can you see this? No.
Now I see your screen.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Don't worry. You have to share again the screen. I know it happens with updates, and
I was doing that, but now.
Now.
Yes. I think I am.
Yeah, you're sharing. Yeah. We need your slides.
Yes. Where are my slides now? That's the problem. Here. No, not here. Oh, what it has. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Take your time.
Here. Oh.
Okay, excellent. We can see the slide.
so related to Portuguese in special, because some tree banking difficulties are related to the tag set or tree conventions, and there are other difficulties related to the language and the grammar itself, either in Portuguese or in Greek. And related to Portuguese, we have the translations of the verb to be, eimi, as there to be, which is the verb haver in Portuguese. It means to exist, and as a rule in Portuguese, this verb, in this sense, always have to be in the third person singular. So it causes a difficulty when we have the subject in plural in Greek, because and the translation in Portuguese as singular and impersonal. So it's sometimes it's the tree banking, doing the tree bank, the students get awareness of that the translation change the Greek grammar, let's say that. Also, for example, the verb deu, mai, deu, they, and the third person, which means it's necessary, plus infinitive, where the infinitive is the subject. We have the example from that fable, Edei me macularion onta auleten me mimesai, where the translation in Portuguese changed to I shouldn't imitate a flute player, being a butcher. And in Greek, the word, the first person is not a subject, it's an object, because it's accusative. So this is difficult. They find in the doing tree banking. Another difficulty, I believe, is related to relative clauses, because for me they are less intuitive, since the relative pronoun is not attached to its antecedent, because the intuition guides us to attach the relative pronoun to the antecedent. See, so here we have an example from Euripides, Heracles, verses 4 to 7, and it's a very long line sentence, a period with relative clauses. So that's is difficult that we found doing this work. Michel is working with 10 sentences of this play, and that have keywords in it, structurally, statistically, which is his personal project. So the work of doing the tree banking on Euripides' Heracles is Michel's job. And finally, with beginners, they showed this kind of difficulty when same subject, we have the same agent to three different verbs and they tended to attach the subject to the verb which is next in the phrase, which appear closest to the subject, instead of thinking of the dependency and the machine understanding of the position of the subject when we could say the same agent can be understood for more than one verb. So this is another example, and the next step, I believe, is to expect their own translations of those texts. So that's what I had to present today. I hope you were not too bored with this slide presentation.
Not at all, Anise, also because you discussed, well, very difficult things and a lot of work that you have been doing with your students and with your colleagues. Also for Treebanking, definitely. So we still need to discuss things. Fortunately for Treebanking, we have guidelines. We don't have them for the alignment, as we know. But I see, and I'm very happy to see in Sunoikis, and not only in Sunoikis, that there is now we have a lot of data because people are working on text, so we are producing data, and as you said, so you're trying to produce guidelines and list of conventions. So really, thank you very much. I don't know if there are questions. We have Sarah online. We have other people who are listening to us on YouTube. Please, if you have questions, you know that in YouTube we have the possibility to put comments. And so if you have, for those people who are listening to us on YouTube, of course, you can write your questions in the comment. I don't know if there are questions for Sarah. You are with us. I don't know if you have questions.
If anybody will ask something, I would like to say that the Treebanking is a very good exercise to think about the language, and we have doubts during the exercise. We discuss together, and we look up in Anise database when we wanted to check some tendencies of tagging, and we check now the tundra,
yes.
the other and another syntax for doing queries. when we just learned the Anise query syntax, now we have another, but it's okay. It's and I intended to list to this kind of problem with examples, and to put this available somewhere, so others can see the decisions we've made.
Okay. Yes, this is important. So to share the work, to share the data. So now we have Sunoikis, we have GitHub for this, but of course we also have other places and also for the discussion, also for the alignment, and then for for Treebanking, so we have a big community. And so I'm also very happy to see the work on the Greek-Portuguese dictionary, because I remember that it was I think in December 2014 when you came to Leipzig that we were still discussing about, so maybe at that time you didn't have the files, so but now you have the file, you have the text. It's really great to see the progress of the work, because having the files is important. So we have the OCR output, you already have tags, you can really work. So I'm happy to see this project. So in the slide you mentioned, so 2016, so the plan is this year to begin. Yeah, I know, we have many plans, I know, but well, in the end, yeah, I know.
But it's too long, even though.
Of course, it's a big project. Working with the dictionaries is not easy, but still, in the end, in a few years, in 2 years, you have the files, you have the OCR output. Is a lot. So you have, and I really hope we can have this in the community again for a sort of crowdsourcing, for having people contributing to the project, which is big. So we can have students working on different levels, for example, also starting with correcting OCR mistakes. For them it's important, so they can start learning Greek by correcting OCR mistakes. Then they can put tags and so on. So we are seeing different levels and different ways of teaching languages. So from the beginning, correcting OCR mistakes for Greek, then working on entries in the dictionary, then maybe trying with translation alignment. And today you had a perfect example of a student who doesn't know Greek, but who can try to learn the language by, not in a traditional way, but by aligning Greek and Portuguese. And then, of course, with more advanced students, we can use Treebanking. So I think this is a great, also for Sunoikis, so to see different new teaching methods and tools for learning, in this case Greek, but also for Latin and for other languages. And now we have the tools. Of course, there is still a lot of work that has to be done, but still we have the data. And I'm very happy that we begin to see guidelines and conventions for not only for Treebanking but also for alignment. So thank you very much.
I thank you very much.
Well, no, because yes. So you are working on this. So at the beginning of Sunoikis, we said we would like to have guidelines for the alignment, and I see that people are working. So I'm really very happy. So now it's okay. It's well, we are at the end of our session, another very rich common session, I have to say, and it was very interesting to see these two common sessions last week and this week, talking about two big topics of Sunoikis' translation alignment and Treebanking, with two different projects in two different countries, involving two different modern languages, as we have seen. So we have the video. So Anise, you will put your slides online in GitHub, and then of course again we have a very rich class outline with a description of your work, the assignment, and many other things. So if there are no other questions, I think we can end this session. And sorry for interrupting, but I think that the goal of these sessions is to talk, to discuss. And so that's why I always interrupt, but because there are many interesting things to discuss. And yeah.
Your interruptions are very welcome to stimulate. It's great. It's great.
Yes, because this is what we need. So the discussing together. And I'm also very happy to see that you have students, because I met them in Araraquara last year. So I know that there is a strong community in Brazil working with us, and I'm happy to see that you are going on. And still, with the Sunoikis, we still have this problem of different academic calendars. This year we tried, because last year we had a calendar following the Leipzig academic calendar and the Araraquara academic calendar, because I remember that we started together. This year we started before, and I know, Anise, that basically you have, well, you started, I think, a month ago, or at least a few weeks ago, because in Brazil you start in March or April, something like that. So you are at the beginning of your semester, but I'm happy to see that you have students. So that's why you could join us in this period. Okay, now unfortunately I have to end the session. Anise, thank you very much, and so see you next week. I'm looking at our wiki, because next week, oh yes, next week we have Irene Darcia with a session about, we change the topic, so reading Plato with digital tools. So we will have a colleague from Georgia. So thank you, Anise, see you, and and say hi to everybody, to your students and your colleagues, of course. Bye bye, and good night, at least from Europe. Ciao.